Willie and Jen Pierce first met at Living Word Family Church in 2008. They were later married here. He had first invited Jen to the Dominion by the Word conference after he became attracted to her because of her beautiful smile. Jen continued coming to all the evening sessions of the conference, and in no time, her and her two sons, Drake and Corey, considered LWFC their church home. Outside of church, Willie and Jen love riding the open road on Willie's motorcycle.
We decided to go out on the bike and ride. It was a beautiful day, sunshine day, and was going to go home, just relax and watch a movie, just enjoy each other's company. We're on Capitol Boulevard. Next thing I know, the accident happened. We got hit.
The light was red, and we were just sitting there.
And she didn't see us, and
so
approximately 50 miles an hour when we got hit by her car. We were at a dead stop, and she hit us about 50 miles an hour.
Yeah. So it threw me 35 feet and threw Willie 40 feet. And then she still didn't hit her brakes, so she proceeded to run over my legs with the front and rear tires and then ended up stopping on Willie over his head.
I was up under the front end of the car, and where the engine and everything was, the front end of the car was on my chest. I was probably from the waist up underneath the car with my legs out from underneath the car. And I had my head pinned this way to the side. That's why I've got this bandage, still got this bandage on here for where there's a real deep gouge that came from some kind of metal up under the car, really dug out the side of my head. And I fractured my left cheekbone in 2 or 3 places right here. And I had about 8 to 9 fractured ribs and a fractured sternum.
The first time she hit over top of the legs, the front tires kind of turned me on my side, kind of flipped me a little bit, and then so when the back tires were running over me, she was locking down her brake, and that's what took my left leg and my knee and actually turned it to the back side of my leg. So my knee was on the back side of my leg and my kneecap.
I never lost consciousness when I was run over, because I was underneath the car, but I couldn't see anything because it blocked out all my vision. She tried to attempt to back the car up, but bystanders stopped her, and according to what I was told, about 20 people lifted the front end of the car up so they could get it off of me.
I remember hitting the pavement and thinking, oh my goodness, we were just hit. That's the first thing that crossed my mind, and as soon as I got that thought through my head, she was running me over. And then I thought, oh my goodness, there went my legs. And then the second tire, the back tires hit, and then that's when I felt like my legs were on fire. And then I tried to crawl and pull myself because I was afraid, she was going to run over me again or back over me because she started to back up. And so I was screaming, about my legs. And I had 2 bystanders that came and sat with me. And there was a guy in army fatigues that came over. I could just see the bottoms of everybody, their hands. But they stayed there with me and kind of, calmed me down a little bit. And while I was there, I remember hearing Willie screaming for me. I could hear him say my name. So I knew he was okay, and they were telling me he would be okay. As I was laying there, I kept thinking, because I had just finished reading a book that was given to me for Christmas from a friend at church, and it was The Prayer of Jabez. And I remember thinking, what, this is a blessing still. I am going to be blessed. And that's actually what I kept saying while I was laying on the pavement. If it wasn't for the support of my family and church, and they were there immediately after the accident.
Oh, yeah.
They are what healed me as well, had the healing power with God to take care of me and bless me enough to get well and heal so quickly. When I came into the hospital, the doctors were explaining to me and my parents in the room at the time that my hip was crushed. They had taken a set of x-rays, and they said my hip was crushed on the left, and they were explaining how in 2 to 3 days I would be having a major surgery on my legs to put a metal rod in it, and that I would also have temporary screws put in that night. The church came in, and they were all praying with me. Everybody was praying for my healing. And miraculously, they did another set of x-rays and did scans when the orthopedic surgeon came in to do the surgery and said, okay, something's different here. You do not need all these things. You do not have a crushed hip. You do not need a rod in your leg. You do not even need screws in your knee. We're going to pop your leg back over, and you're going to be okay. I had some breaks. I had a broken elbow, broken right leg, some damage to my ankle and knee, but nothing that was going to require surgery or pins. I had so many nurses tell me while I was there that it was such an encouragement to see and hear that story, and it just gave them a new rebound to their faith.
The first week I was there, I was doing wonderful. I was sitting up and talking, and I was drinking, and everybody thought that things were going fine. And Pastor Steve had even given reports that Willie's fine, he's doing well. But unfortunately, after that first week, I developed blood clots in my lungs, and it made it hard for me to breathe. So I ended up having to put me on a breathing machine, and due to fluid building up in my lungs, they had to put a chest tube in me to drain fluid off, and I got really sick. And I was so happy when I was able to start reducing my medication to where I could start recognizing people and acknowledging them. I still couldn't talk because I had a breathing tube in my mouth, but I was getting to the point where I could, see people that would come in, I could acknowledge them and know they were there. And that was just a warm feeling through the whole thing that, just felt like somebody had their arms around me the whole time. And that's just the way God's love is. You feel like somebody's hugging you constantly.
It was so much love constantly. Calls, visits, dinners, lunches, coming to do the housework. It was amazing. And it was a difficult time because I couldn't get out to see Willie. I could only get to the hospital once a week, and that was difficult. I couldn't really walk. I had to take a wheelchair when I came over, and I was on a walker. So it was very difficult. So my routine usually was calling the hospital 3 times a day, getting reports on him, and then feeding that back as to what the prayer of the day would be. So we were having a prayer chain of what the prayer or the need for Willie was of the day. What was he, what were we focusing on? The love and the outpouring of just compassion from everyone at the church and just wanting to be there and help us through everything. It's amazing. I don't know what people do without a church. I don't.
I went to the first men's breakfast that I felt well enough to go to. And I asked Pastor Steve at the end of the message, could I just speak to the rest of the men that was there? And I stood up and told them that I thanked them for all their prayers and all their help they've done for me and my family. And I said, I just want to let y'all know, stay strong and stay faith in God, because he tried to take me and my wife out. The enemy tried to take us out. It didn't work.
Yeah.
And right now I'm looking at the way I feel. I look at the enemy, look at the devils, look at Satan, whatever you want to call them. And I'm looking to say, if this is your best shot, too bad. It was later in the hospital that I did start thinking that, I'm alive. And there's only can only be one reason, God. And so I went through the whole hospital ordeal. Whenever I got down, on myself, I had to think again, remind myself, look, you're here for a reason. You got a car run over top of you. You're here for a reason. God's got something for you, and I'm ready.
It wasn't long after that Willie was released from the hospital. It was February 14th, the best Valentine's Day present Jen said she could have ever asked for. Today, they are both committed to serving at LWFC. Willie is on the security team, and Jen is a team service leader in the children's ministry. And they continue to praise God and serve him faithfully with all their heart.